and to observe people inside the building. And we won a case, a big case, and we have others happening. There are lots of litigation, even beyond our litigation. There's tremendous amount of litigation generally because of how unfair this process was. And I predicted that. I've been talking about mail-in voting for a long time. It's really destroyed our system. It's a corrupt system. And it makes people corrupt even if they aren't by nature. But they become corrupt. It's too easy. The votes they need, and then they seem to be able to find them. They wait, and then they find them. And you see that on election night. We were ahead in vote in North Carolina by a lot, tremendous number of votes. And we're still ahead by a lot, but not as many, because they're finding ballots all of a sudden. We have some mail-in ballots. It's amazing how those mail-in ballots are so one-sided, too. I know that it's the Democrats, but in all cases, they're so one-sided. We were up by nearly 700,000 votes in Pennsylvania. I won Pennsylvania by a lot, and that gets whittled down to, I think they said now we're up by 90,000 votes, and they'll keep coming and coming and coming. They find them all over, and they don't want us to have any observers, although we won a court case. The judge said you have to have observers. Likewise, in Georgia, all we want to do is have people watch as they do the vote tabulations. Likewise, in Georgia, I won by a lot, with a lead of over, getting close to 300,000 on election night in Georgia. And by the way, got whittled down, and now it's getting to be to a point where I'll go from winning by a lot to perhaps being even down a little bit. In Georgia, a pipe burst in a faraway location, totally unrelated to the location of what was happening, and they stopped counting for 4 hours, and a lot of things happened. The election apparatus in Georgia is run by Democrats. We also had margins of 300,000 in Michigan. We're way up in Michigan, won the state, and in Wisconsin we did likewise fantastically well, and that got whittled down. In every case they got whittled down. Today we're on track to win Arizona. We only need to carry, I guess, 55% of the remaining vote, 55% margins, and that's a margin that we've significantly exceeded, so we'll see what happens with that, but we're on track to do okay in Arizona. Our goal is to defend the integrity of the election. We'll not allow the corruption to steal such an important election, or any election for that matter, and we can't allow anybody to silence our voters and manufacture results. I've been doing a lot of public things for a long time. I've never had anything that's been as inspirational, by people calling, talking, sending things to us. I've never seen such love and such affection and such spirit as I've seen for this. People know what's happening, and they see what's happening, and it's before their eyes. And there are many instances which will be reported very shortly. There's tremendous litigation going on, and this is a case where they're trying to steal an election. They're trying to rig an election, and we can't let that happen. Detroit and Philadelphia, known as two of the most corrupt political places, easily cannot be responsible for engineering the outcome of a presidential race, a very important presidential race. In Pennsylvania, Democrats have gone to the state Supreme Court to our election observers, and very strongly. Now, we won the case, but they're going forward. They don't want anybody in there. They don't want anybody watching them as they count the ballots.
You only do that if you have something to hide.
I can't imagine why. There's absolutely no legitimate reason why they would not want to have people watching this process, because if it's straight, they should be proud of it. Instead, they're trying, obviously, to commit fraud. There's no question about that. In Philadelphia, observers have been kept far away, very far away, so far that people are using binoculars to try and see, and there's been tremendous problems caused. They put paper on all of the windows so you can't see in, and the people that are banned are very unhappy and become somewhat violent. The 11th Circuit ruled that in Georgia the votes have been in by election day, that they should be in by election day, and they weren't. Votes are coming in after election day. And they had a ruling already that you have to have the votes in by election day. To the best of my knowledge, votes should be in by election day. And they didn't do that. Democrat officials never believed they could win this election honestly. I really believe that. That's why they did the mail-in ballots, where there's tremendous corruption and fraud going on. That's why they mailed out tens of millions of unsolicited ballots without any verification measures whatsoever. And I've told everybody that these things would happen because I've seen it happen. I watched a lot of different elections before they decided to go with this big, massive election with tens of millions of ballots going out to everybody, in many cases totally unsolicited. This was unprecedented in American history. This was by design, despite years of claiming to care about the election security. They refused to include any requirement to verify signatures, identities, or even determine whether they're eligible or ineligible to vote. People are walking in there. They have no idea. They're just taking numbers. They're writing down things, the workers, and doing a lot of bad things. And we have a lot of information coming and litigation that you'll see that will shake even you people up. And you've seen it all. The officials overseeing the counting in Pennsylvania and other key states are all part of a corrupt Democrat machine that you've written about, and for a long time you've been writing about the corrupt Democrat machine. I went to school there and I know a lot about it. It hasn't changed. It's a long time ago and hasn't changed. It's gotten worse. In Pennsylvania, partisan Democrats have allowed ballots in the state to be received 3 days after the election, and we think much more than that. And they're counting those without even postmarks or any identification whatsoever. So you don't have postmarks, you don't have identification. There have been a number of disturbing irregularities across the nation. Our campaign has been denied access to observe any counting in Detroit. Detroit is another place, and I wouldn't say has the best reputation for election integrity. Poll workers in Michigan were duplicating ballots, but when our observers attempted to challenge the activity, those poll workers jumped in front of the volunteers to block their view so that they couldn't see what they were doing.
I heard that.
And it became a little bit dangerous. One major hub for counting ballots in Detroit covered up the windows again with large pieces of cardboard, and so they wanted to protect and block the counting area. They didn't want anybody seeing the counting, even though these were observers who were legal observers that were supposed to be there. In Detroit, there were hours of unexplained delay in delivering many of the votes for counting. The final batch did not arrive until 4 in the morning, and even though the polls closed at 8 o'clock, so they brought it in, and the batches came in, and nobody knew where they came from. We've also been denied access to observe in critical places in Georgia. In multiple swing states, counting was halted for hours and hours on election night, with results withheld from major Democrat-run locations only to appear later. And they suddenly appeared, and they all had the name Biden on them, or just about all. I think almost all. They all had the name Biden on them, which is a little strange. I challenge Joe and every Democrat to clarify that they only want legal votes, because they talk about votes, and I think they should use the word legal votes. We want every legal vote counted, and I want every legal vote counted. We want openness and transparency, no secret count rooms, no mystery ballots, no illegal votes being cast after Election Day. You have Election Day, and the laws are very strong on that. You have an Election Day, and they don't want votes cast after Election Day, and they want the process to be an honest one. It's so important. We want an honest election, and we want an honest count, and we want honest people working back there, because it's a very important job. So that's the way this country is going to win. That's the way the United States will win, and we think we will win the election very easily. We think there's going to be a lot of litigation because we have so much evidence, so much proof, and it's going to end up perhaps at the highest court in the land. We'll see. But we think there'll be a lot of litigation because we can't have an election stolen like this. And I tell you, I have been talking about this for many months with all of you, and I've said very strongly that mail-in ballots are going to end up being a disaster. Small elections were a disaster. Small, very easy to handle elections were disastrous. This is a large-scale version, and it's getting worse and worse every day. We're hearing stories that are horror stories, absolute horror stories, and we can't let that happen to the United States of America. It's not a question of who wins, Republican, Democrat,
right.
Joe, myself. We can't let that happen to our country.
Right.
We can't be disgraced by having something like this happen.
Right.
So it will be hopefully cleared up, maybe soon, I hope soon, but it'll probably go through a process, a legal process, and as you know, I've claimed certain states, and he's claiming states, and we can both claim the states, but ultimately I have a feeling judges are going to have to rule. But there's been a lot of shenanigans, and we can't stand for that in our country. Thank you very much.
That is our president, Donald J. Trump, not taking any questions. Forgive the fact that we don't have any background here or anything. I saw he was going live, and I said, Leah, I'm going to go see if I can start streaming it. I am so highly encouraged to hear Trump come out so resoundingly confident in the fact that these aren't just shenanigans. These are illegal processes that are happening in Democrat-held states.
Democrats are so much cheaters. They are so much cheaters. Do you think Republicans, if it was a Republican, that they wouldn't allow Democrats behind to watch them? No. Because the Republicans want to do things on the up and up.
I already have friends on Facebook. God love them, and I hope you're not watching because you'll probably know who you are. And I love all. I have several friends actually, Christians who are like, guys, don't be a sore loser, okay? If we lost, then we lost, and we need to just accept that. And I just really don't believe that, that there could be that much corruption. I just don't think that much corruption. And one had an example of in Ohio. I want to say it was a poll worker or something. Like, I work in these places. It has to be a Democrat and Republican. There has to be equal amount of people. And somebody else came back and commented like, but that's Ohio, and we don't have any complaints.
And Ohio and Trump won by +8 in Ohio.
We don't have any complaint here. If fraud has been committed, that's not being a sore loser to say, you know what? This is fraud. There is evidence.
Pam Bondi, Donald Trump's attorney, had a court order to get into the Philadelphia voting area, and she was denied access.
They were blocked with a court stinking order. And then the Democrats came and requested an order to block, a court order to block Republicans in from watching. Why would they try to legally block people from watching the votes unless they have something to hide?
Even in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong people were allowed to watch the vote counting.
Guys,
here's the thing about vote counting.
Get your heads out of the sand.
You're supposed to be able to have enough people in there.
Yes.
And they do stand behind a line, but a line that they can see. Right. That the people doing the ballots.
I wish I had papers. They have to hold up the paper and they have to match the signature. The signature has to match. They have to make sure that everyone is doing that for every single vote. If we aren't in to see that, it is not a legal count.
Shit, that everything went really well. I believe it is Michigan. And then everybody was allowed to watch, and the votes were matching, and they matched the voter rolls.
Yes.
And then she picked up a box, and she was doing a box. And they all, 500 of them didn't match the voter rolls. 500 didn't match the voter rolls. And so here's the thing about...
We have ballot machines that print out receipts for how much count. They kick out of a receipt, okay? The actual submitted totals are greater for Biden than what are on these printed receipts. Guys, this is all going to come out in the end. But whatever you do, don't jump to some sort of conclusion where we just put our tail between our legs and just say, you can commit fraud, we don't care. No, we care.
Because then we turn into Zimbabwe or Venezuela, and then what is election then anyways?
Exactly.
What is an election then if you're just like, yeah, whatever, fraud happens?
Being a Christian does not mean that we bow down to people that do things illegally. Being a Christian means that we stand up against
the
tyranny.
Bible says love
we stand up for the little people, and everyone has voted, and we will stand up to make sure that their vote counts.
Love always hopes, love always trusts. And so, unfortunately, Christians take that and they're like, they just trust everyone.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Are you going to leave your kid with a
Wise
pedophile?
as serpents, harmless as doves.
Are you going to leave your kid with a pedophile because the Bible says trust everyone?
I mean, come on.
We know that we know that Detroit and Philadelphia are known for their corruption. That means there are people who don't have a conscience who do things and cheat.
Yes.
Okay? It's a Kubla Kai.
All right, so guys,
Shoot the leg.
We aren't worried about how this is going to turn out. Donald Trump just spoke, very confident. The truth will come out. Here is one thing.
We're going to make America great. You know what happens? Michelle said this on our show last time. What this is exposing is that the election system isn't that great.
Exactly. And my friends that voted Trump, that are saying, don't be sore losers, yada, yada, yada. The man that you voted for, and I hope you voted for him because you trust that he is an honest person, has just come out and said, fraud is happening. It's happening, and we are going to look into it. So please don't try and then come out and say, well, it really can't be fraud. President Trump just doesn't know what he's talking about. You voted for a man that doesn't know what he's talking about. He has the proof before him. You don't. You're just on social media, right?
But they're not on Twitter. They're not watching the Project Veritas with the USPS. They're not watching the videos
Guys,
of the poll
proof is there. Leah and I do this not for a living because we don't take money for this. We do this. This is what we've been doing all day long. We dig deep, we uncover, and we are telling you fraud has happened on a scale that is so large, it is unfathomable, and that's why people are having a hard time understanding it.
You think it's okay in Arizona for people to be given Sharpies? And then those
and then the machine can't count it?
Are laughing behind their back.
Yeah. Sharpies are expensive, by the way. This is an expensive, but they buy votes. They literally go out and buy votes. We have shown you guys the undercover videos.
Arizona, 96-mile car thing for Donald Trump.
96-mile long Trump parade of cars. Okay, don't tell me Arizona does not bleed red, right? So here, I want you guys to be encouraged. Listen to President Trump. And he's very confident. He's coming out. He's just telling you guys it's going to take a little bit of time. We've got a lot of litigation.
If you want to be encouraged, go on Ben Shapiro's Facebook and you can listen to the Arizona Republican conference.
Yeah, so good. So good. Kate says they gave Sharpies to some in Michigan. So much corruption. When we look at Ohio, +8. We look at Florida, well, I don't know what they were. +3. Florida and Ohio historically decide elections.
He did better in Florida than he did last time.
Yes. He's, like we said earlier, and we'll keep repeating the same things. He's up in every demographic except for white males, where he held the line there.
And if he's up, then Biden is down. That's how this works.
This
is a tug of war.
It doesn't matter if those are percentages.
Yeah.
Okay? So it doesn't matter if we're up in the amount of people voting. We're talking about he's up percentage-wise.
In Florida, Joe Biden was down with black people.
Yes.
So you're going to tell me he's up
with
with black
people? So
people
what I'm saying is, we're not saying, let's just use black people as an example. We're not saying Trump got 200 more black votes than last time. These are percentages. You have to understand math to know he's up percentages. So out of 100 people, last time Trump got 15, now he's getting 30 roughly. Okay, that's a percentage. So if Trump has stolen percentages, then Biden is down in those percentages. And if Biden didn't gain any percentages off of Obama or Hillary,
but he did,
then he lost
because he went to the cemetery.
Exactly. He gained the dead vote. He is really up with dead people. I mean, he's got more dead people than Hillary had, and she had a lot of dead people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, a Civil War general, from 1850.
Giant lead amongst dead people. I don't know why the dead didn't decide to vote for Donald Trump, except for the fact that they need someone else to do it for them, and maybe there weren't as many Trump supporters willing to get the dead vote,
to talk to them,
go and canvass, you know what I mean, to harvest the ballots from the dead people. Yeah, exactly.
Next time, I guess that's what we got to do, right?
Right.
We got to just go to the cemetery, mark down as many, just go talk to him and just kind of.
We could get some diviners. What are they called? When you talk to the dead people, what are those people called?
Seance.
No, they had a name. We could go and get some of those people. You know, like, what was her name? Madam something or other used to do those TV shows.
I bet it was Maureen Williamson.
Cleo.
I bet she was she was talking to the
maybe
dead.
even some of those people that can talk to animals. Take them to the cemetery. Maybe they may be able to mix that mojo to talk to the dead people. I think that every dead vote should count.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, you guys, we're giving you a hard time. Have military ballots been counted? Military ballots would come in and they would be counted in whatever state they are in with the around the same time as the mail-in ballots. Okay, so you can know that. Mediums, thank you, 412. That's exactly what we're talking about. Dead people can relate to Joe. He's got one foot in the grave already. Necromancy is a sin, though. You're right, Tom. It was looked down upon when Saul did it.
These people will stop at no sin.
Right. Exactly. That's why they are doing that. They are literally using their necromancers grabbing. No, we're just kidding. Where do they get? What happens is, it doesn't take a whole lot to print these ballots.
That's what I was going to say. So in the places where they didn't care what they were printing out ballots and they were just sending out random ballots, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and things like that, there's no record of how many they printed out and where they sent them, and that has to be tracked like gold.
Right.
Every ballot that's printed, like you need Republicans and Democrats now at the printing facilities with some sort of like money stamp, and then we're going to need to have like the money readers to make sure that ballot was at that. I mean, this is like the McDonald's fraud.
Yeah.
Where that guy was skimming the McDonald's things and giving them to his friends.
Right. Oh my gosh, guys, lighten up. It's hilarious the fact that they got greedy actually, because now they're trying to do the same thing that they have been doing
in Virginia.
They're doing it with, I think it's a Senate race.
No,
is it a congressional?
Well, the Senate races in Georgia are in trouble because of all this, and then it was a congressperson, a new congressperson. It was a flip in Virginia.
What I'm saying is, they have gotten so greedy. They're like, guys, we're getting away with this.
Yeah,
we could even get some House seats. We could get some Senate seats. Let's keep going. Because that's what happens when you are in the vault. Taking the money,
right?
You get away from yourself,
and you're printing the money,
right? The cops are on their way, and they're going to catch you in the act, and that's what's going to happen. It's all going to come out in the laundry. So be encouraged. Kate M says North Carolina has a week from Election Day to receive and count military absentee ballots. Thank you for that. And she would know she served. Thank you for your service, Kate. We know you very well. Let's see. If it takes a year, it takes a year, Jim West. It's not going to take a year. It is not going to take a year. Let's see. Federico says the only mistake made by Trump was not to make rallies in graveyards like Sleepy Joe.
Duh.
Exactly. Jim West says if Biden gets in, he won't have legitimacy anyway. 69 million Trump supporters will oppose him.
Do you know Trump got 4 million more votes this year than in 2016?
Wow. Just so far. Even that doesn't even count the fraud.
And
that's what's counted already.
All we needed was Trump to beat out 2016 and he did it by 4 million.
Yeah.
And so for Joe to be getting all these random votes, and we know that nobody wanted to vote for Joe.
Oh my gosh. Oops, there goes our thing. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Here's the deal. Terry Mathis says, if they can't come to some sort of verdict, so to speak, does that make Pelosi in charge until they do? All right, let's talk real quick what we learned on the War Room Pandemic, this idea.
This is a random thing. So if certain state legislators feel that their election process was not legitimate and there's too much fraud, then a state legislator can then say, we aren't sending our electors until we discuss it and vote. So Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania could have their state legislators actually vote on who they send their electors to.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
And then there's a third option that Steve Bannon was going over. I feel like I don't have a grasp on it at all, but it's the same scenario that if it was 269, Nancy Pelosi becomes president
for one day
until
just for one day.
The House would vote, and what it is it's each state gets one vote, and whatever the majority party is for the House. So if like there's 55 I don't know if there's 55 congressmen in California, there's 55 electoral votes. Well, however many congressmen there are, if they have the majority Democrat congresspeople, they get 1 vote for the Democrat. In Wyoming, they would get 1 vote for Republican.
Now, and that would go for all 50 states. The way that the math breaks down is worst case scenario, it would be 22 Democrats to 24 Republicans. So we shall see how that goes down. So Bannon feels like that is a legitimate possibility. I don't think it's going to come to that. I really and truly do not. At this point, I don't see how we end up at 269 to 269. We could.
But no, he's not saying 269. He just...
I'm just saying, right, like, as an option, I still don't think we'll get there. But that is really, really a fascinating idea. So I don't know if that actually answered your question, Terry, or not. But yeah, I think that time will tell. It's going to take a little while. Guys, we are constantly updating and digging and looking for some news to bring to you. So far, there's not really anything, and that may drag out for the next couple of days before we get to, okay, every state has finalized their numbers, sort of. And then there's a winner there. And then if it's Biden, then obviously it's going to drag out even longer because we're going to have to go through litigation. But they may not finalize their numbers until the litigation is processed too. So we may not have...
So just get on with your life. Love Jesus. But
we made fried chicken.
Yep.
Tonight. We were like, you know what? We got to live our lives. I'm making fried chicken.
Ready. I'm making an apple pie. So
Leah's going to make an apple pie? All right. Hot dog. That's awesome. Who decides at 269, Pelosi or Pence? All right, that's okay. I think you might have misunderstood what we were saying.
The House
decides at that point.
And each state gets 1 vote.
And each state gets 1 vote, and it would go to Trump. That's just how it would be.
And then the Senate picks the vice president.
Exactly, which could go to Kamala Harris, which I don't think so. But guys, these are extreme cases, but they are on the books for such contingencies.
That would be hilarious.
It really would be hilarious. Okay, so remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory.
If it's
actually the truth. Thank you, President Trump, for coming out. I think it's really good. We've been kind of hoping that he would to address. But I think what we were waiting on, or what they were waiting on, was the proof. Mm-hmm. We have to gather evidence, Trump. That's probably what all of his people were telling. Let us gather evidence so that when you speak to these people, you have facts to give them, and I think that's what happened.
And COVID's over!
And COVID is over.
COVID's over! COVID's over! COVID's over! COVID's over! Now that we know that they planted this COVID thing, and it really was a thing, but it's not that big of a thing.
Right. Exactly. Robbie says, this is belonging to Jesus. Amen. Okay, so we'll see you guys back here, probably not tonight unless something breaking happens. In which case, we'll probably just do a little video. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow to give you the latest updates in what's happening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly roundup of, oh my gosh, news has been cray-cray this week. And then again on Sunday, we will be bringing you the European and UK news. Meanwhile, what is going on in the UK with all the lockdowns? There's a lot of protests happening. So we've got chaos here in the US and we've got chaos in the UK because of all the lockdowns. So be praying for your fellow man in the UK because it's not awesome right now. Jim West says Biden will claim he eradicated COVID. Anglo-Saxon says, I'm gutted for America if this continues. If you feel that way, you watched our video earlier. Don't. It had to happen this way because we are going to end this once and for all. If you guys missed the video that we did in the car this afternoon, just the very last one, go and find it. It was really, really encouraging. We have a lot of hope for you guys because this had to be this way so that we stop it and end it once and for all. And where it ends. It ends here. It ends with this. Donald J. Trump is the only one that could do it, which is why divinely I believe this had to happen just exactly the way that it's happening right now. So trust God. Trust God.
I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul, rejoice. Take joy, my King, in what you hear. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear.
Very good. Go in peace on that.
We have a PO Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. You can send a birthday card to Michelle. Birthday is November 9th, a Monday. What a great birthday present, right?
I literally can't. I can't even focus on my birthday. I have literally the last thing on my mind right now. But what I do actually think to myself sometimes is, God, thank you for this birthday present, because wouldn't it be so great if this thing finalized on my birthday? Like, I keep kind of hoping for that.
God, come on. I can't
Exactly.
I can't make it happen. You can.
I know. Okay, good night. God bless, and we'll see you back here for sure tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and hopefully we have some good news to bring you. Keep following us on Twitter, where you'll find the latest. If you want to follow the Election Wizard on Twitter, he's constantly posting all of the latest updates. A lot of people are following him that are big names like Kayleigh McEnany and stuff.
War Room Pandemic, and
Jay Sekulow. That's on Twitter.
And One American News you can get for free on Cloud TV with a K.
Yep. All right. Good night. Be encouraged. Go eat some fried chicken. We love you guys. God bless.
I was cold.